Welcome to Love and Leadership, the podcast that helps you lead with both your head and your heart, plus a bit of humor. I'm Kristen Sharkey, a leadership coach and facilitator.
And I'm Mike Sharkey, a senior living and hospitality executive. We're a couple of leadership nerds who also happen to be a couple.
Join us each week as we share our unfiltered opinions, break down influential books, and interview inspiring guests.
Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, we're here to help you level up your leadership game and amplify your impact.
Hello, and welcome back to Love and Leadership. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are doing the first of our new Buzzword Breakdown.
Ooh, Buzzword Breakdown. Is that a new episode flavor?
Why, yes, it is, Mike.
Oh, I like that flavor.
We actually teased this. If you caught our Workplace Buzzwords episode a few weeks ago, we talked about this.
This is like the pistachio of Love and Leadership.
The pistachio?
Oh, it's delicious, but you don't have it every day. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Okay, sure.
Pistachio ice cream is so good.
I mean, I agree. I don't know about the analogy, but I agree with pistachios being a thing. Yeah.
Do you have any ice cream?
No.
Certainly, we don't have pistachio.
We do not have any pistachio ice cream.
Maybe I'll make some. Anybody has the Paco Jet that they'd like to donate to Love and Leadership, we will take you up on that. Used is fine. I don't need a new one. The Paco Jet.
Paco Jet? Is that the restaurant one?
Yeah, it's like $5,000.
Oh.
I showed it to you,
only
right?
that. Yeah, I think
it's like a jet engine where you can make ice cream through a frozen solid rather than using a liquid and freezing it as you stir it.
Sounds like something we absolutely need.
Oh, I need one. You can do such that. The Paco Jet is, chef's kiss of the kitchen equipment. I had a friend who staged at Noma, and Noma, despite being like the best restaurant in the world, they only had one. So like he said during prep, like the pastry chef would have to like go upstairs to get it, and he'd see her carrying it downstairs to make her desserts, and so even Noma only had one. But if you want to donate one, please send it to loveandleadership.com at
Love and Leadership .com.
Harvard Square. Okay. No, you don't get that reference. All right. I was trying not to go on any tangents.
Yeah, you lasted like
I didn't last.
5 seconds.
It's pretty rough.
In.
Well, it's been a long day. I've had a lot of mushroom coffee.
Well, okay. So explaining this format briefly. So the idea of this is to take some of the common like buzzwords and phrases we hear in leadership and are just assume that you know what they mean at this point and actually break them down. This was kind of inspired by before even like explainer videos were a thing. I worked in ad tech for a long time, and Digiday was a big publication, and they had this whole series. And I think they still do, but it's like WTF is, and then whatever concept it is, the complicated ad tech concept it is. So we're gonna do that with some leadership terms. Theoretically, these will be shorter, but
I'm sorry.
Oh no!
I'm trying to watch Andor at this point, but
yeah. It's another Tuesday night recording. What can we do?
We're really on top of things.
And Andor releases 3 episodes at the time, so it's a lot.
Oh God, it's so good. Is anybody watching it?
Respond in the comments. Or message Mike on LinkedIn. Put it in the package with the
Paco Jet that you're sending me. Let me know what you think.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're starting with kind of it's a fairly meaty one actually, but we are starting with the phrase psychological safety, which I feel like is something we have referenced a lot on this podcast without really explaining. So which is common in leadership publication. So Mike, I'd love to know without reading the notes.
I'm not even on the notes.
Great.
I'm sending you a picture of vegan pistachio ice cream.
Oh my God. Okay.
We can get it delivered from Sprouts like today.
Oh my God.
I'm not even hungry, but it sounds so good. Okay, I won't read the notes. What do you want to know? I guess I feel psychologically safe to.
What do you think of as like psychological safety?
Well, I think psychological, without reading the notes, without having any erudition on this, I would say psychological safety is the feeling that you're not going to be fired based on what's going on today or something, where you maybe feel confident to posit ideas or to take risks, or you feel comfortable enough with the team where you're not always in the fight or flight mode, where you feel like safe to at least be somewhat of yourself. You probably will always have a work self and a home self, but you're not like walking on eggshells the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, I think that's generally a good summary. I would say job security is probably not something that's necessarily included within it.
Oh.
Yeah, but so psychological safety was coined by Harvard Business School professor Amy Edmondson, 1999. She's brilliant. She's a good LinkedIn follow. And her definition is a belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes, and that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking.
But you might be fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like I think it's a belief you're not going to get fired for like speaking up respectfully
okay. Right.
and challenging something. Yeah. It doesn't mean like your job is safe in general. That's kind of its own thing. But yeah, she first came across this concept. She was doing research at hospitals and looking at the connection between errors and teamwork. And she found that the teams that reported better teamwork also reported more errors. And that led her to believe, which the research backed up, was because a team that had a lot of teamwork, that was safer to report mistakes. So they reported, it's not that they made more mistakes, they were more likely to report them.
Yeah, self-reporting.
They felt safe doing so. Yeah.
Ms. Edmondson has 317,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm going to friend her. I'll see if she'll accept my friend. Oh, wait, you need their email address. Oh, well, I guess I'm following you, Ms. Edmondson.
She's a good follow. Yeah.
I hate the follow without connect, though. It's like...
Yeah, well, they both serve a purpose, I guess.
I don't know. I want reciprocal validation.
Other things to note about psychological safety in general. So this is a team concept that we're talking about. This is not like an individual trait. So your individual willingness to speak up is a separate thing. This is like how you feel within the context of this team. And she has found in research since that it matters most in work environments where employees need to use their own discretion, like they're making decisions or taking action, or like doing work that's really creative and collaborative. So not necessarily teams where everybody's just doing prescribed work that they don't necessarily have any control over.
No.
So. And there's a ton of benefits. They've been supported both by her original research, and there's also a very well-known study that was done at Google called Project Aristotle, where they used their algorithms to look at like 30 different traits and saw like what resulted in the best performing teams. And psychological safety was the number one predictor of high-performing teams. And overall, they found that who was on a team mattered a lot less than how the team operated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and work together. And also just to confirm the importance of this, a McKinsey survey surveyed employees and found that 89% of respondents believe psychological safety in the workplace is essential. So it does matter.
McKinsey's famous for like doing $1 million consulting things and telling you to raise revenue and lower costs. It's a frequent meme topic on the business Instagram accounts.
Yeah, well, big five consulting firms. Yeah. But they have a lot of interesting research.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm teasing. I'm just jealous.
So, benefits of psychological safety. So, team members feel more engaged and motivated because they feel like their contributions matter. Better decision making because it's leading to you having a more diverse range of perspectives being heard and considered. It fosters a culture of continuous learning and improvement because team members feel comfortable sharing their mistakes and learning from them. And there's overall just positive correlations with higher team performance, innovation, creativity, resilience, learning. And when it's not present, the negative impacts include like employee well-being, like increased stress, burnout, turnover, and also like poor organizational performance in general. So we're going to talk through 6 of the common myths around psychological safety. So the myth number 1 is that psychological safety means being nice all the time. Candor is different from being nice. And it's actually kind of the opposite. There's a lot of very polite workplaces that don't have psychological safety because there's no candor.
Sure.
And people feel silenced by the enforced politeness.
Yeah.
So this is not about being nice. Obviously, respect is an important part of this, respect and trust, but the candor part of it is what really matters. Myth number 2, you can declare psychological safety. Saying this is a safe space doesn't make it true.
It makes me think of The Office and Michael Scott going, "I declare bankruptcy." And he's just yelling it. And that's like, they're like, no,
that's not how that works.
This is a safe space. Not really. Oh,
yeah.
Thanks for letting me know.
And it's not that you can't say that, but you need to back it up, right?
Sure.
Your actions as a leader, like what you do and what behavior you tolerate from other people in the team is going to ultimately create it, not just saying it. Myth number 3 is that it's a luxury, not a necessity. So we did a brief overview of research and stuff for like why this is effective, but really it's a foundation for effective leadership, especially during change, high stakes decision making, and or conflict. Myth number 4, psychological safety means getting your way. And this is the perspective of an employee. Also not true, because leaders don't need to agree with everybody's input. And especially if there's problematic behavior happening or people are feeling entitled to getting their way because they were given a space to speak up, you shouldn't tolerate that. But yeah, it doesn't mean that every opinion is going to lead to that person getting their way. It just means that you're hearing and getting all the perspectives out there. And then myth number 5, you must always feel comfortable in a psychologically safe environment. Because a lot of people think that you can't say anything that will make people feel uncomfortable, or that's like a violation of psychological safety. And uncomfortable and offensive, or there's certainly parts of this that cross other boundaries. But the reality is that it doesn't necessarily feel comfortable, because in reality, learning, messing up, making mistakes is usually uncomfortable. Being vulnerable feels risky. The key is to take risks in a safe environment without those negative interpersonal consequences. So like not being punished for it by your team members or your leader. And then lastly, myth number 6 is that implementing it requires a top-down approach, meaning from like the CEO down. And interestingly, what they found in the research is, yes, ideally, everybody in your organization is doing this from the top down, but psychological safety is really local. It's at the team level. So even if this is not something that like the senior leaders of your organization are necessarily modeling, you can still build psychological safety on your own team, which is cool.
Yeah. You don't have to, I can't remember, I think I read this in Good to Great, and they talked about like, even if your big organization is not necessarily doing this, your team can have a credo and that kind of stuff. And I think I did that for the front desk at a DoubleTree. I was like, what's our mission? They're like, what? I was like, okay, I'm just go with it.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I think breaking that down too.
Yeah. And ideally, if you're doing that, the bigger organization will eventually take notice. So even though your big organization's not necessarily like well organized or psychologically safe, you can absolutely do that with a smaller team and eventually influence the whole. Yep. Probably not easy, but you can do it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you still have some control, at least within your own team. So moving into, as a leader, like how do you know if your team has psychological safety? So
they'll tell you if they don't, or if you.
Well, not necessarily.
No, if you don't, they won't tell you.
It's actually kind of the opposite. Yeah. So Amy, if you want to do this more formally, she has this on our website too. There's actually like a more formal inventory. But basically, there's 7 questions that you can survey your team about. And these are like each rated on a scale. So the 7 are, if you make a mistake on this team, it's not held against you. Members are able to bring up problems and tough issues. People sometimes accept others for being different.
Sometimes?
Yeah, I don't know why that's the language, but yeah, that's what I saw it was. It's safe to take a risk on this team. It isn't difficult to ask others for help. No one would deliberately act in a way that undermines my efforts. And my unique skills and talents are valued and utilized by this team. So this is something where if you have psychological safety, your team is going to score pretty high on these. And these are only in the context of the team when you're actually giving them these questions. So that's one indicator, is you can actually survey your team. But I wanted to give some signs as well, some indicators of low psychological safety, and then we'll do some indicators of high psychological safety also. So signs of low psychological safety for a particular team. So prevailing silence in meetings. If there's a trend where you're the only one talking in your meetings and people really aren't speaking up at all, that is a sign. Culture of blame, where people do a lot of scapegoating and blaming each other for things. Lack of feedback from team members. A general fear of failure, lack of risk-taking, passive-aggressive behavior, like groupthink when it comes to decision-making. Excessively formal communication used instead of it having a more of a casual personal tone to it sometimes within the team. Surface level compliance, so people are just checking the boxes, they're completing the process and not doing anything else. There's no initiative happening. And high turnover.
Well, that's what you get when you lead with compliance and control. You would get box checkers.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I just have such a low tolerance for that. It's so uninspired.
Yeah. Well, yeah, people need motivation to go above and beyond, and their team is a big part of it.
I think this whole above and beyond, I mean, it's just create an environment where people enjoy being there. They enjoy working together. They know the big mission, and people will just do stuff. You don't have to drive people.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to, I don't think.
Can refer back to our episode on motivation if you want a more in-depth overview of that.
Or how to win friends and influence people.
Oh, yeah, that too. Our very recent one.
Be hearty in your approbations and lavish in your praise.
So the inverse of this, signs that you have high psychological safety on your team. Team members challenge ideas without fear. The team members speak in roughly the same proportion. If you look at how much everybody is speaking in the context of each meeting, obviously there's always going to be some people who have a tendency to speak up more and some people who speak less, but everybody on the team is contributing when there is high psychological safety. So mistakes are admitted and discussed openly. Questions are asked freely and openly. People give and receive feedback constructively. Divergent thinking, so new ideas, different out of the box ideas it's really celebrated and explored. Members know each other personally and professionally. This doesn't mean everybody has to go to happy hour together every single day, but they but they kind of know something about what's going on in each other's lives. It's not just a purely work relationship. And members freely offer and request help from others. So those are all signs that you have high psychological safety. And then that brings us to the last part of this, which is how do you actually create it within your team? So Amy Edmondson gives 3 tools, starting with M, messaging, modeling, and mentoring. So messaging is leaders are making statements that highlight the challenges of the situation being faced. Modeling is that you're being a good role model for asking good questions, listening intently, and acknowledging that it's okay to not know all the answers. Mentoring, you're giving people feedback on their impact and on how well they invite and respond to others' input. So you're encouraging these actual behaviors within the team that way. And you're also working to minimize the negative consequences anybody on the team suffers from speaking up, which is super important. What you tolerate, right?
For sure.
Matters.
Yeah.
So some kind of more specific things you can do to help encourage this. Admit when you're unsure about something and kind of normalize, I don't know, starting with you.
Yeah.
Share the things that you're learning, like the mistakes you've made and what learning process you're going through.
So I don't have to put on airs and act like I know everything.
Yeah,
How interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's the opposite of how many of us have been.
I still regularly have people comment on that. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe you actually said I don't know." I was like, "Is that not people?"
Yeah, no.
Do you think you're fooling people?
There's a lot of conditioning.
Yeah. Do you think you're fooling people by acting like you have all the answers? You are not.
Yep. Yeah. And I totally get it. It's also, there's a certain point, and we talked about this, what got you here won't get you there, and some other stuff, like earlier in your career when it's all about like your knowledge and your technical competence, you're knowing as much as possible is like often how you're rewarded or what's expected of you. But when you're a leader, it's totally different. Yeah. And then asking questions like, what's something we're not talking about that we should be? Or what can we learn from this? Things like that, like really engaging, really inviting conversation and engaging discussion based on the questions you ask. Inviting quieter voices to share their input, which hopefully once you get to a good point of psychological safety, people are doing this more automatically, but you will probably need to prompt it in the beginning. And also calmly redirect from the people who tend to dominate the room, right? So there's an art to that. When somebody takes a risk or speaks up, thank them. Even if you don't agree with it, but you can say something like, thank you so much for bringing that to me. I know that must have been really hard to bring up, or that must have been difficult to raise in front of the group. Thank you for your candor.
It reminds me of Rebs, where she's like, thank you for having when people would give her negative feedback, she's thank you for having the confidence to tell me that, or something like that.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, this is our interview with Rebecca Yang that Mike is referencing.
Rebs.
The one and only.
Yes. Right. Troy doesn't go by that at work.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Her team probably feels psychologically safe.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like creating shared language through team agreements. This is something that is a big part of like the team coaching education I did last year, where a big part of it is like creating a whole team charter, but part of that is figuring out like what is your agreements going in, like how do you engage with each other? So you can have things in there that create like shared language around psychological safety. So things like assume good intent and encourage everyone in the room to speak. Like it can be, it's created by the team, but it's a really powerful tool. And then you start your meetings with a reminder of what's in that set of agreements that you determined.
The sun always shines on Ben Fold.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Shared language is important.
Shared language, yep.
Yeah. Yep. I think they reference that in Successful Couples as well. They'll have their own language. They'll have a whole litany of inside jokes, that is their secret little space.
We have no shared language whatsoever. We have a lot of shared language.
We have so much. The incorrect cat is the best one.
It's constantly evolving. Yeah. Yes.
Well, that is the correct cat for what's going on right there.
Beezus is lounging and posing on the couch right now.
That's a lot, man.
So
the cat's really like, our cat is so laid back. She's kind of bullying for those of us that are busy. And I was kind of bullying me.
You're trying to get things done, and then you just look at her and you're like, this is not cool.
It's not cool, man. Like,
She's just so relaxed.
She could not be more like at ease.
Yeah.
She's had like 3 hard days in her life.
Yeah, and they involved the vet.
All of
them.
All of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you're supposed to spoil cats.
Yes. Yeah. They're adequately compensated for the user experience they provide.
Competitively
compensated. Yes.
I don't know if we can adequately compensate for this experience. I don't have enough money for that.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yep. So that's, and there's one more final one for things you can do. Basically check yourself when somebody challenges your thinking, and you might catch yourself feeling defensive, like feeling like a nervous system response. Just check yourself, take a breath, and try to get curious about what they're saying. So that's the breakdown. I will also include a few links to resources in the show notes if you want to dig more into this, as well as Amy Edmondson's book, The Fearless Organization, which gets into this a lot as well.
Go check that out. You know who doesn't have psychological safety? The ISB. Is anybody watching Andor? Right, the ISB, the secret organization. They do not have psychological safety. Everything they do and say could get them, I don't know, exiled, killed, shamed.
That's true.
Right?
The stakes are very high.
The stakes are very high. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And not even in a court of law, so.
Yeah.
These are great things to think about when creating your team. You'll have happier people too. When people want to contribute, they don't want to just punch a clock. They want to be part of something bigger. They want to be part of something that feels good.
Yeah, they want to feel valued.
They want to feel valued. They want to feel like what they're doing matters to even just the people around them. And not everybody really needs to have some you don't have to work for Doctors Without Borders to feel like you're making a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
What's the saying? Save one person, save everyone. Something like that. I don't know. Save the cheerleader, save the world.
What?
It's from Heroes.
Oh, okay. I never watched that.
You never watched it? Until the writer's strike, it was so good. It was one of the best shows ever, and then the writer's strike killed it.
Yeah, that's what I always heard.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well,
for joining us.
Yes.
On this pistachio ice cream based.
On that note, we're going to watch 3 hours of Andor.
Oh, God, we are. Yes, we are.
Mike may or may not DoorDash pistachio ice cream.
I've had enough potatoes for the day. It's been a very potato heavy day.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
The Love and Leadership podcast is produced and co-hosted by me, Kristen Sharkey, and co-hosted by Mike Sharkey. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. We can't stress enough just how much these reviews help. You can follow us on LinkedIn under Kristen Sharkey and Michael Sharkey, and on Instagram as Love Leader Pod. You can also find more information on our website, loveandleadershippod.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again next week.